Council join us this evening. Thanks for being here. We'll begin with our invocation. I ask Linda if she will to lead us in our prayer.
Our Father, how we just thank you tonight that we can gather together as a town. Lord, we just thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us. We thank you for everything that you give us. You supply all of our needs and help us to be willing to share what we have with other people who are in need. Pray tonight that you will be with our town council, that you will be with our staff, that you will be with everyone here, Lord, and guide our meeting, and may we do everything according to your will. These things we ask in Jesus' name.
Amen. Now, if you would please join me and let's stand together and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we'll have our introductions.
Valerie Halverson, Town Clerk.
Diane Hoffman.
Dina Bond.
Tim Sessions.
Elizabeth McClellan.
Alicia Flowers.
Scott Whitaker, Town Manager.
Katrina Pierce, Finance Officer.
Very good, thank you. And on to item 4, our consent agenda. Has everyone had an opportunity to look over that? Or is there any discussion?
Do we want to?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We need to excuse Mr. Adams, who is, I think, in Hawaii. I didn't tell that to everybody here. So when you're writing, you did hear from me. But Mr. Adams will not be with us this evening, and Bill Hill has been temporarily detained, and he is heading in this direction. Sorry about that.
Make a motion to excuse my Adams.
Motion by Ms. McClellan,
And I'll make a second.
second by Ms. Barnes. All in favor, please raise your hand. And it is unanimous. Okay, the consent agenda, is there discussion on that or questions?
I have a question, Scott, or Katrina maybe to answer this, about Guilford County Animal Control. So I know that they were like shut down, and I just wondered how that worked, because I see they're still being people.
I was just going to say that the service didn't stop other than just a few days, is that right?
Well, I don't know that animal control was ever shut down. The Guilford County
It's just
was
a shelter.
It was just an animal shelter that was run by the United Animals Coalition. I'm not positive, but that was what I gleaned from.
Okay. So we had no service interruption. That was my only question. Okay. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I noticed you had another leak at the ball fields.
We have so many that, yes, we have had one recently, but they have subsided. It's much less than we were having, and I think that's because as we repair them, we're repairing them the way they should have been built to start with rebar and straightening the joints. So,
And, you know, I don't know why I never saw this before, but on page 2 of the balance sheet, I think this one is, this municipal building site CIP for $127,000. What is that?
It's on the books from way back, still in construction process. Really believe that it's some evaluations, I think, that were done for the building site next to the fire department, I believe it is. And so,
That's
I have
been
to-
on there for 10 years.
yes, it has.
Okay. Can we take it off? Take it out of the budget next
Well, it's
year?
not a budget item, it's just money that's been spent that's probably not gonna be used as studies or whatever, but, I guess as long as we own the land, something could possibly be. Yeah, but it's not an expense, it's just the money that was spent out years ago that's just sitting there.
I think it was $7,000.
And I can get you a list of what that is.
Yeah, you know, I'd like to see that.
Does that include the actual property itself?
I don't think so.
You know, we keep spending money every month, almost $1,000 for loan and grading the fields and the gutter part. Isn't there a way we can do that in house? I thought we were going to do that.
Well, interesting that you asked that tonight. What we had talked about in the budget process was hiring a seasonal Parks and Rec attendant to take that over. And we have hired that person, and we'll get to that in our report this evening. And they are trained to do that, and this past weekend was the first weekend that they had started doing that.
Okay, thanks.
Any other discussion?
We'll be saving, on money and bringing the fields will probably take us out.
Okay. Any other discussions? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Ms. McClellan,
Second.
second by Ms. Barnes. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Does that include the new closed session minutes, the new revised closed session minutes?
No. That's
Everyone,
down under business from the mayor and council.
well, no, everyone, there was a minor change. Everyone got that in their packets except for you, because you picked yours early. But
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Yes, unanimous. Okay. Announcements?
I would like to make just a couple of quick ones. The Christmas tree lighting event is, we set this date last year, so it's going to be November the 21st. That's a Saturday, 5:30, and that's at the Athletic Park. And please save the date. Mm-hmm. And I'll cover two quick ones, other ones, just to let you know that the summer cycle recycling event went very well despite the weather. There were 215 cars that went through. We don't have all the numbers yet on tonnage and that type of thing. The other event this past Saturday, the Touch a Truck event, that's the picture you see on the screen, was very successful. The park was full, and 250 hot dogs were grilled and given away by vendor. And I think it was a success, and the best part of it all was this picture right here.
Get your grandson a haircut.
Very cute picture. And
I just want to say something about Touch a Truck. And Linda, I wish you would pass this on to your sister, because Sue started Touch a Truck. And it is probably one of the best events that we have, the biggest bang for the buck. It's not a big budget, but we certainly get a lot out of it. So I'll tell Sue
And we appreciate the Northwest Observer's coverage of that. They got a last-minute Facebook post that I think helped to that end too.
Any other announcements? Any candidate like to make announcements?
Mr. Sullivan, from here, I would love to have your vote.
And I'm Dana Barnes, I'm running again for county council. Thank you.
Great. Any other announcements? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to our time of public comments. If you're interested in making public comments, if you would, please fill out one of those slips of paper that are over there, and you can pass to Mr. Hill. Good to see Mr. Hill. He'll pass it around, and we'll call you up when you come up. Please give us your name, your address, and you have 5 minutes to speak on the subject of your choosing. So we'll just take them in order that they're here. John O'Day.
I'm John O'Day, with 713 Western Court here in Summerfield. I'm a candidate for town council. A couple things that came to mind today, I jotted down that I thought that I'd like to express. Mostly around platform items that I'm in favor of. One of the key issues that, or one of the potential key issues we have is impact from road construction that preserve our rural character and history. I've lived in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I've lived history. I love history, and there's a lot of history here. I'm one of the few people who knew the significance of the Battle of Guilford Courthouse. I didn't read it. It wasn't a school book I read it in, but I've read about history since I was a young kid, and being and ensuring that we preserve our part in the history of the Revolutionary War and battle here is important for the future generations, because we need to know where we came from. We also have a tremendous sense of character just in our town and the rural town that we have, and that's why I know I chose to raise my family here, bring my family here, raise my daughter here, to be here. Another thing that's important to me is I want to hold down taxes. I want to ensure to exhaust all the alternative funding sources that we have for any of our projects, and I want to make sure that we spend money efficiently. We do things the right way the first time and on time. That's something I do in my professional life. It's just a regular part of my job, so it's something I'm highly attuned to. I want to. This council has started the process to rewrite the ordinances. That's important to finish that. I know the development ordinance is coming up sometime later, it should be December, I believe. And so the new council will be deciding on the development ordinance, November, December. And we need ordinances that are clear, concise for home and business owners, and they need to be in line with our comprehensive plan. And those two vehicles can help us control the development in this kind of low-density housing that's expressed in the comprehensive plan in so many areas, and the commercial development done to the specifications also. I am in favor of the AMI Greenway extension. I don't believe it's the asset to Summerfield. I believe it suits our rural character and charm. Also, trails do improve values of homes in their proximity. And if you check our website, johndagreenway.com, I'll put up some information about where folks can go see that information themselves. Further, the trail gives a safe point of non-mechanized transportation for folks, cyclists, runners, walkers. I know I have a hard time riding a bike on the roads here, and I really appreciate a way to get to Ross 220 without risking my life. I just ask for your vote, Child Day for Town Council, November 3rd. And my position is I work for the people, and I'll provide responsible accountable government.
Thank you, Mr. O'Day. Gail Dunn.
Why don't you sit there and call it in the order that you have, why don't you call everybody else? You got a whole pile in there. You can put me at the bottom.
Do you want to bring it home and wrap it all up?
You had said you'd call them in the order, so.
Well, it came down and fell here, so that was the order it was in. Reese Walker.
Reese Walker, 979 NC Highway 150 West. Mr. O'Day pretty much took the wind out of my sails. So I'll mirror lots of things he said, but I'm going to be short, sweet. I appreciate everybody's support. November 3rd, come out and vote, early voting. I'm open to answer any and all questions. Look me up, phone, call, text, email. Elect Reese Walker at gmail.com or on Facebook. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Dwayne Crawford.
Dwayne Crawford, 1106 NC Highway 150 West. I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened at our last public safety meeting. I'll give you more when I report on that. But I'm wearing my Dwayne Crawford hat right now, not a public safety committee meeting. At this meeting, we were made aware of a problem with our couple water points, the one down here, Schoolhouse Lake, and water point in place where we draw water for fire protection over in Polo Farms. an algae congestion problem. What you're seeing here, the first page is a picture we were presented. That's a suction hose with a strainer on it showing vegetation clogging up the hose. I went and took a few other pictures a couple days later of the same pond, which I gave you in the subsequent pages there. And hearing this, start scratching my head. Okay, we got a problem. Let's find a solution for it. So I've been in contact with the property management director at Guilford County, because those lakes over there in Polo Farms are owned by Guilford County. The county here is owned by Guilford County. So I called the property manager. He got me in touch with the stormwater management administrator, had a really good conversation with them, put in touch with the soils and water conservation admin over at Guilford County, put in touch with the NC Wildlife Commission District 5 resident biologist on solutions for fixing this aquatic vegetation problem. They just got in touch with the NC State Cooperative Extension local rep for aquatic weed management. So, and really good conversations, having great conversations there, offering up suggestions, not that I was already thinking, but they offered them up. Well, why do we want to just look at these two? I mean, if there's more lakes, let's look at all of them. And this is not a point in time problem, this is a long period problem. Maybe we need a program for doing this on a periodic basis. I thought those were all fine ideas. I didn't suggest them, they did, but I have them in my mind already. So, I'm going to be asking for a letter of support from the Summerfield Fire Protection District Fire Department. A letter of support of some of these departments and agencies getting involved. I want to ask Summerfield Town Council on behalf of the 25 square miles of the 40 square mile Summerfield Fire Protection District, can we get a resolution of support for these agencies getting involved to take a look at what we already have to see what we can do to remediate problems that exist, to possibly improve what we already have, and maybe even find other ways to make available with water point resources that we have that are just not accessible or usable in their current state. Oh, and I am running for council. Thank you.
Thanks for your work on that, Mr. Parker. Adrian Williams.
My name is Adrian Williams, and I live at 3901 Lewiston Road. Everybody knows I'm not the county council. The agenda was kind of short for the night, so I didn't have much to go on, you know. But, you know me, I'm going to talk anyway. And my deal is, and everybody knows how I feel about it, the trails don't really bother me. The amount of money we're trying to spend is my biggest problem. I mean, as I said, you know, we don't need a super highway to have a trail. And it really, I don't know, there's a lot of people that need a lot of help in this community, and we're wasting a lot of money, as far as I'm concerned. And that's my personal opinion. And if I'm elected, I'll always give my personal opinion plus the opinion of people that come and talk to me. So we'll try to keep all that together. But I just want to keep the taxes low. And like I said, I got out with my wife, and went to the houses and got people signing corporate places. I know it's a lot of 8 period, but you know, we found it on no services and no taxes. And that's what I told them. And but you know, basically I knew there was going to have to be some, but not what we headed in this direction we are right now. And my main objective is preserve Summerfield's rural heritage. You know, big city politics come along and the one that you want to change it to big government, so I'm going to be over here to tell you something. I'm not for it. To me, this community was here, and we used to kid about it when we used to run down 220 going towards Madison. People said, where you live at? I said, well, if you miss that 4x4 post down at 150, you're going to miss us. You know, because that's about the way we were. And like I said, I've been out here for 49 years as a resident. And I was out here off and on 6 years before that. So I've been, the biggest part of my life, I've been out in this area. And of course, Nina knows my wife, she's been there all her life. And the road we live on was named after her grandfather, so I guess they've been out here a day or two. I appreciate everybody just thinking about who we're gonna vote for. I mean, we don't nobody hear much tonight, except our little group. And, so you're not going to impress somebody you run against. And you're sure not going to impress someone that you know ain't going to vote your way. And things that you know you don't like that they won't. And so, I mean, so we just over here to have a little social hour, I guess, tonight. Maybe this meeting to be short will change like it used to be when we first started then. We just come in and shake everybody's hand, talk, have a little bit of time. Somebody say, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then the next thing you know, we say, well, gotta go. And we'd all just pack up and go out the door. And, I was hoping we'd stay away, but, things have changed. And that's basically what I mean to say is, look, if I'm elected, I'm going to have a good time. Because it's one thing about it. We don't live for one time, and ain't no need not having to express yourself so you don't feel bad when you go home. And I'm always do that. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Even though our number is small, we were happy to have you. Are you leaving?
No, I'm gonna throw this. I'm gonna throw this map away. Oh, you want to go ahead and leave? I'm sorry.
No, we're happy that you're here. And I do try to move the meetings as quickly as possible to get them closed. So, Gail Dunn.
Gail Dunn, 5805 Summerfield Drive, I have a number of things here. I think to see the clock on the wall again, I think that would be very helpful. I'm not sure. Well, let's go do batteries. And we maybe have $1 million a day.
Jigs all the way out till you get here.
I'd like to have note a correction from the minutes from last time. It says Gail Dunn spoke about increases in pay and benefits. My concern is that the pay and benefits have doubled the 3 years that Scott has been here. They have doubled. It isn't just an increase. A couple of years ago, he had increased it to $311,000 a year. Now it's almost $500,000 a year. So, really a growing government, and I don't think that's what the people want. And the other thing was, I asked about the Greenwood contract to be tabled. I felt everyone should have an opportunity to read it. And I think I was the only person that had the draft copy. I have the draft copy that you have, so I kind of read it that night when I got home. Later on, I called Valerie and she sent me a final copy. What you voted on that night was incomplete. There was another couple pages to it that were added. So, if you're going to vote on something, this is worse than Nancy Pelosi says, well, we're going to vote on it and find out what's in it. This is what the town of Summerfield says, well, we'll vote on it and write it after we vote. So, you should all have documents like that complete ahead of time and review them, and they should be available to the public. The people who were here that night, lots of support for trails, and I appreciate that. They all said just sign this contract, but not one person, I don't think, had seen it or read it. So then, how sincere is all that? I'd like to thank Dwayne Crawford for the great job that he has done to represent the Summerfield Fire Department. The Polo Farms lakes needed to be cleaned out. It's just terrific that Crawford took the initiative to contact the county to get these lakes cleaned out as an extra water source, rather than just coming to you and wanting, hundreds of thousands of dollars for some engineering study. Mr. Reese Walker, I know Mark Brown, they both want this engineering study to have a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet of everybody's home. And here we have simple suggestions, such as let's get the lake cleaned out so it's a good water source. But, and the idea that, Summerfield, we all need a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet of our homes. This is going to be cost prohibitive, and I don't care what you say. That means they want commercial water. And why is this only necessary for Summerfield? It just doesn't ring true. Let's have some math 101. At the last meeting, Paul Lambert said we have, he talked about the 1.3 million a mile, and that would be the A and Y, which is 22-foot wide easement, 10 to 12-foot wide paved roads. He said the town has 1.3 billion in assessed value, so we've got all this money. We have some very heavy things people are asking to spend money on. They not only want to spend money on it, but they want to make sure that you're going to maintain it long term. The one, he said, he thinks $1 million a year is nothing. At this time, the tax rate, the property tax rate now produces about a max of $455,000 a year. But we're also spending $1 million, where you used to spend maybe $300,000, $500,000. So now you're spending $1 million a year because you're busy growing government. You're producing $455,000. So an extra $1 million a year for how many years to pay for the trail means you would more than triple your property taxes. Whereas this, if you're only yielding $455,000 or $460,000 now from the property tax, that means $1 million is going to be triple every year. It's $1 million is a lot of money. We are a small town. But I hear, we gotta have fire hydrants 1,000 feet from everybody. We're gonna have, I love to have trails. We've always supported trails. But I think you have to look at a way of scaling, if it's narrower in some ways to accommodate property, whatever it takes. The other thing on the engineering, on this thing with the fire hydrant within 1,000 feet of everyone's home, I still think it's related to commercial water and to benefit the developers. And, I know that on Mark's website, Mark Brown's website, he really wants to have these, fire hydrants. But on the other hand, Mark, a few years ago, took $1,400 in a campaign donation from his good friend Paul Miley. And at that time, it was the largest campaign donation. I don't think so.
I'm sorry, but it is.
I want to tell you about, I'd like to talk about the touch a truck.
It's over 5 minutes.
It's not over 5 minutes. Dina Barnes doesn't like what I said, so she sits there and nudges you. Tell her to shut up. That's not right. I should have the same amount of time as other people. You may not like what I'm saying, but I'm telling you the truth.
It has nothing to do with what you're saying. It has nothing to do with what you're saying. It has to do with your 5 minutes being up. No one else in this room gets more than 5 minutes, and neither are you. Please step away from the microphone. Thank you.
Because Dina likes that kind of spending too.
Cherry Pike. Sorry you have to follow that.
Cherry Pike at 7804 Robinson Road. I read through the new ordinances for the town committees, the way it was, the draft that you sent out with the packets, and I thought it was really well done. It's really short and easy to read and easy to understand. So, and I know that that's not an easy task to be rewriting all these ordinances. I would not want to have to do that. I just wanted to talk about tonight about the new I-73 will be crossing the intersection with 150 West. To me, if we lived there, I would be very concerned because you're actually taking this empty land and putting a new 4-lane road through there. So it will be impacting a lot of people. I don't know who all could answer their questions there, but if DOT is the only one who can answer the questions, I would think that maybe they could meet with them on a regular basis to update them and let them know what's going on and what changes there may be, because I know that construction plans can change from day to day. There are a lot of things going on in Summerfield right now, and I just wanted to say that I know that we all have our own opinions on what we think is best for Summerfield, but I would hope that we would all just remember what's most important, and that's other people. It's not about me. It's not about what I want for Summerfield. But, and I agree that I think that I would really like to spend a lot of our time and money on the people in Summerfield who really need something, besides just what we think we want.
Thank you, Ms. Piker. Anyone else? Don't want anyone to be excluded.
Just make it quick.
I thought your hand was up and I looked, you were rubbing your forehead. Yes, please.
Hey,
speaking on behalf of the Northwest Observer, I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows, although half of you, I think, are in the upcoming election section. We've been spending a lot of time on that in the last couple of weeks. I want to thank all of the candidates. We had 100% participation from those who are actively running. So we have one person in Summerfield who has dropped out, and a couple in Oak Ridge. But thank you to everyone who participated, and we will have that out in this week's paper. And we guided some of the questions, and then this year we gave each of the candidates an opportunity to pick a topic that they thought was most relevant, and ask their own question and answer their own question. So that's the wild card question. It's very interesting to see what people came up with. So please look for that in this week's paper and read it thoroughly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stokes. Anyone else? Okay. Then we'll move on to our committee reports. We'll start with the Finance Committee.
The Finance Committee met in September, and there was a decision made that we would take excess funds out of Sun Trust that we have, $500,000, move to the Bank of North Carolina in a money market for 1%. The audit of the fiscal year 2014-15 is wrapping up and basically almost complete. I'm now working on the financial statements to be included in the audit report. And the Finance Committee will not meet in October, but will meet in November. The date is Monday, November 16th at 7 p.m. in Town Hall.
Thank you. Historical Committee.
At our last regular meeting, we had several things we brought up. We are working on roadside signs, the big old-fashioned ones. And we've got two that will be coming up soon. Stop working with us on this. We have to get the word. They put 150 years of history in about 6 sentences on it. It's not easy. But we're trying to get the main things to put on these signs. We have had one for Lawton School. That will be the first one of that. And they have been formed about 150 years. And then the other one will be where the Bugle Boy was slain up on Acres Road. So we're working on those and hope to get at least one up this year, and if not, get the first of next year. Also, we are continuing to interview the veterans. We're doing the World War II veterans, and just to go and talk to them brings tears to your eyes sometimes, because it's hard for them to tell us, but we do have one display up now, and we'll have another one up in just a couple of weeks to the World War II veterans in the 90s. So if you get a chance, go by there and look at the pictures and everything. And we've got a couple more that we're getting ready to interview as soon as we can line up time. But thank you, and we'll meet again at the end of this month.
Thank you. Excited about those signs coming up. Public Safety.
We met last month, 16th September. We're going to meet next Wednesday, 21st October. Had our officer elections last meeting. Fire chief brought up a drought problem, aquatic vegetation. You heard about that earlier. The sheriff's deputy said larceny is down, but still a problem. You need to lock your car doors, secure your motors, chainsaws, get stuff out of sight. That's what people are going for. Easy stuff. Talked about the generator documentation. I'll accept responsibility for that slowness. Have intent to deliver something to show people in December. Discussed citizen question regarding the walkway across Strawberry Road near 220. Oh, and that Strawberry Road across 220 is closing on October 22nd, so it's not going to be a problem for a little while. But
Yeah, we even have.
Recommended the question be put to the MPO or NCDOT for suggestions on how to fix that. That's the area.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Trails and Open Space.
Trails and Open Space met last month, and we discussed, we had sort of a charrette and discussed open space in Summerfield and ideas about how to preserve what open space we have and what is important and what's not important. And we will continue that discussion on the 28th of October.
Okay, thank you. Business from our town manager, Ms. Whitaker.
First item is Board of Adjustment reappointment. Don Wendelkin. The second page in your packet there shows the composition. It says it shall consist of at least 5 members and may have alternates. We have the 5 regular committee members, and we have 2 alternates currently. We have Mr. Lovell, the second one there, has indicated that he does not wish to serve again, so we will be advertising very soon for Board of Adjustment members along with some committee vacancies that we have. And Don Wendelkin's term is about to be up, and so the request is that he would consider his reappointment to the Board of Adjustment, and he has expressed interest in continuing to serve in that capacity.
So this is for reappointment as an alternate.
Yes.
The last Board of Adjustment meeting, both alternates had to be seated because otherwise they wouldn't have had a quorum. So I think it's really important to keep what members we have on the Board of Adjustment.
Yeah.
Especially since
Good deal of training goes with this.
Yeah,
so
Mr. Lovell
needs to be
says
somebody who
he's
knows.
not interested in serving anymore, so I think it's good that we have to.
Any other discussion on Mr. Wendell? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Don Delvin to the Board of Adjustment.
Motion by Ms. Flowers. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. McClellan. All in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous.
Next item, B, speed limit reduction within intersection. We're talking about our town hall intersection, Oak Ridge Road, and Summerfield Road. The backdrop for this is I had reported, I believe last month, that we've been getting a lot of vibration. We get vibration from the heavy hauling that's going on, primarily from the 73 150 interchange over to 220 that goes through our intersection. And what that means from a practical standpoint is we really feel it in town hall. Heavy loads go through. We feel that vibration. We had concern of the impact that's having on our historic buildings in that intersection. And so we had asked, we talked to North Carolina Historic Preservation Office and also NCDOT, and had asked them to come and meet and talk about those impacts. And one of those things that came out of that conversation was some monitoring, using seismology equipment, monitoring both directly by DOT and then some independent monitoring that they recommended and coordinated. And that was at no cost to the town. But what came out of that discussion with both the Historic Preservation Office from Raleigh and NCDOT was that one of the factors that's causing the vibration is a combination of not just speed through the intersection, but some rough pavement through there. It's not so smooth, so when you get heavy loads, speed, and rough pavement, that's where we're getting our biggest vibration. And DOT did a good job immediately by patching some in the intersection, and that helped a little bit. We also got them to take down, there was a large construction sign that said 45 miles per hour right beside the Gordon Hardware building, because that is the beginning of technically the construction for 220, and that's just what they do. So we got that taken down because that had been up a long time. It was, I think, misleading to motorists. And the other thing that came, the big topic that came out of that was speed. And it's 35 miles per hour through that intersection. And get this up on the screen for you. And it begins at Trinity Church Road on 150, and get this where hopefully everybody can see on the screen here. So here's our intersection, here's Town Hall, this is Dry Bridge, and Trinity Church Road is the little side street coming east from Oak Ridge there on the right. And right in that area, it begins 35, and if you will track my mouse there, goes all the way through the intersection to 220 there, it's 35 miles an hour. On Summerfield Road, it starts up at where Summerfield Road goes into 220 there at Gastown. It's 35 all the way from there, all the way down to Maderas, there going south on Summerfield Road. And then it changes to 25 for the school zone. And so what we discussed in that meeting with DOT was letting NCDOT study the speed limits through there. And when I say study, one of the things that they look at is the transition, because you don't want to create speed traps. You don't want to create, going from a 45, because if you look here just beyond Trinity Church Road, coming from Brookbank, you're at 45 miles an hour. So you got to take into account a lot of factors there to look at the speed. And in that discussion, they would prefer, DOT would prefer, in order to initiate that, a formal request by the town in order to do it. So I felt like that's something that needs to come from council as to whether or not you want to pursue that. And we also have our historic district that overlays this, and it technically is an overlay in our development ordinance. And that historic district begins, if you look back to the screen there, here at Brisbane at Gray Gables is where it starts this way. And then it extends south down Summerfield Road to that speed limit change there down to 25 at Maderas. So that just gives you the layout and a good visual of where the speed limits are. And so my recommendation is that the town formally request DOT to look at it. That doesn't commit you to agreeing to any speed limits. Just ask them to look at this closer and get back with us on what they would suggest in regards to it.
I was with you for that very last sentence. Why would we want to just suggest that they look at it? Couldn't we suggest what we would like it to be?
Well, we could. That could be part of the request.
I think we ought to be very, very intentional about what our request is, because if you've ever been standing in town hall and those trucks go by, the whole building vibrates, and it's an old building. And so, we're very fortunate if we can get that taken care of on Oak Ridge Road, Summerfield Road. After the construction is over, those big trucks coming off 220 and scooting down on Summerfield Road, that's going to stop. And they'll probably stop using that because they'll now a sharp right turn and then a sharp left turn will be required to do that, and I think they'll stop using it. So the traffic will be limited on Summerfield Road.
And one of the things I had forgotten to say was that, while our big concern about the vibration right now is the heavy hauling, that is anticipated. They're hauling X amount of dirt from 73 over to 220, and that's scheduled to be done sometime probably in November. So that's going to be up before a while, but we still have all the construction in town, and as the mayor was saying, when the highways are complete, we're still going to have truck traffic through that intersection and those same impact concerns. And in terms of being specific, you could certainly suggest what you want that speed limit to be. For instance, if you wanted it to step down to 25.
It does feel that way.
We were looking at doing 25, right? 25 miles an hour.
That's what I talked about with them.
Yeah.
And
Starting where? Not starting at Trinity, letting that be 35, and then what, Brisbane starting 25?
Historic district.
Just in a historic district, right?
well, it's up to you where you want to request it. That's why I put this map up there. So right now, that 35 starts at Trinity Church.
If we go from 45 to 25, I may be having some tickets.
So
I won't be.
So the question is, this is where DOT's, we need their input, is what's too short of a transition? Because if you go from 35 and
Yeah, it
to
should just be a,
to Brisbane for 35, is that a big enough
Where
step?
does the historic district actually start?
It starts right here at Brisbane inside of Gray Gables, right in front of the Gray Gables.
because I feel like when I hit the bridge, I do kind of slow down anyway, because you're kind of coming into town, it's narrowing. I just think that's a very natural time to slow down. You know you're gonna stop at the light generally. You know. What?
Nobody slows down when they come over the bridge.
They don't.
Oh, no, they're doing 45, 50 through there anytime. Oh, it's been terrible.
I slow down. Fast. If people fight, do they run and everything?
Okay, so what are we saying here? We want a 25 miles.
The prior to that
an hour?
is 45. Can you do a transition from 45 and just, where it's 35 at Brisbane now, make that 25? Or is that
You
new?
could
Why don't we
request
just
that,
request that, and then people just have to deal with the transition.
and
Then
then,
it slows traffic going past town hall.
and then the other request, or component of that is, do you want to have a similar request for Summerfield Road?
Yes.
I think if we request 25 miles per hour within our historic district, do you think that, if, only,
I thought there was something, I can't remember exactly what it was, when Mr. Norris came and spoke to us, he told us there was some reason we couldn't do that.
No, he told us we couldn't have no trucks.
No, couldn't have no truck traffic because.
So back to Councilmember Barnes' suggestion, historic district. Generally, I think it sounds good except for one little part. So if you change it, if you say 25 to our historic district, that starts at Brisbane, which is what I'm hearing you like, and we take it all the way through the intersection.
Yeah.
The only thing with Summerfield Road, it's good down here at Maderas, if you
Right.
wanted to step down at 25, but if you tie it solely to the historic district, the district ends right there, basically after the Baines house. So it probably is the one place you might want to extend it, say down to
Laughlin.
Laughlin or
Yeah.
wherever you want to make it.
I think that would be fine, because Laughlin should be historic as well, but not in our district, but I think that's a historic property.
Is it just not part of the scenic?
Which part? Laughlin is not part of the historic district.
I heard that.
It doesn't extend that far. Well, hopefully you could petition for that. Our
No, the
historic
all shut that
district
part was what I heard.
is technically a national historic district as opposed to a local district. Our neighborhood conservation district, which is similar. So that's another component there, I
Yeah,
think.
why can't we just petition and
Historic
have it
district.
extended to Laughlin?
Because Linda just said that they're going to give the historical, marker, so it's, legitimately historic.
Well, that would be happening concurrently with this, but I think
It's
to
a
keep it,
safety issue.
I think with this, we would want to keep it a succinct request, and you can tie it to where you want. If you want to say Laughlin and then pursue the
That whole
historic
road
district.
is
I think we
very,
said our historic district.
it's very
except-
small.
Except on Summerfield Road, and you got a Laughlin, the other end's fine, and the other three ends are fine. We can just extend it on the end where Laughlin is, too long.
I think that's reasonable if somebody wanted to make a motion to that effect and see how that goes.
Well, be careful to make that motion. Want to restate it again or whatever from.
I think the motion would be to change the speed limit to 25 miles an hour in our Summerfield Historic District, and as an exception, add the distance down Summerfield Road as far as Laughlin School.
It's not going to be.
Whatever, correct.
Well, so we're asking, I guess initially we're asking NCDOT to analyze the current speed limits
gonna be stopped.
with a special request to make it 25 in these areas.
You're talking about 222,
The
It's
bridge,
Brisbane.
Brisbane.
To Brisbane.
Okay, But you can't,
220 to Brisbane, which is the historic district start, and then Madeiras on Summerfield Road, but instead of stopping at the historic district boundary here, going on up to Laughlin Professional Development Center.
you know, I had that car accident at the intersection, because someone came up 220 and they were speeding, and it's really a blind zone. The 25 makes a lot of sense. I did some research and I found out that there was a lot of accidents at that intersection.
Mr. Crawford?
If you taking it from Summerfield 150 to Laughlin, why don't you just go all the way to the stoplight? I mean, it's not much. I mean, you're gonna have 45 to.
I think a lot of this is for naught anyway, because I think that traffic's gonna stop when they redo the road right there.
But if we can go
I think
ahead
we could just say the historic district or because.
Offer it up.
Some people may cut in to miss the highway, to miss two.
People do that now, people do that now because they can just zoom off the Summerfield, off the 220 on the Summerfield Road. I can't believe people actually do that, but.
You can't?
But when the road is reworked, you won't be able to do that anymore. You have to go up, you make a very definite right turn and then take a left.
That's right. And I don't know, they may want to go all the way to Summerfield instead of.
So would you like to?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
If the concern, I mean, I know
The
that
attorney
speed
wants to make a
concern, right? But if the driving issue is vibration of noise, et cetera, at town hall, you might want to leave it a lot more general to DOT, let their engineers look at it and decide what might be appropriate to reduce. If you tell them you want it from here to here, here to here, their engineers decide it shouldn't be reduced in certain areas, they're not going to do it.
Oh, it doesn't hurt to make a request.
I think you're limiting them then. I think that if you look at town hall, then you can talk to them afterwards if they're inclined to reduce it. But if you set the
I mean, I had a conversation with DOT, and not to change from what you're saying, but I had a conversation with DOT and asked them about changing speed limits, and they said it's absolutely no problem. It's at the discretion of the council to ask us to change the speed limit. The only thing that we say is don't come back repeatedly saying change it, oh, well, now change it to this. He said when you ask to change it, you need to be very certain that you want it changed. And I indicated they would oblige if we asked them to do it.
That's not geographically next to a line. That's this area. And then they'll come and talk to you. So at least my experience when they that they'll come to you and say, hey, we can reduce it, or, and then you can kind of look at what they're proposing. It'll go quicker.
So our motion should be to analyze the speed limit in that area, and we would request that it be reduced to 25 in the historic district.
Yes, it's general.
Someone like to make that motion?
Did you have one on the table already?
I was working one,
Okay.
and I will withdraw my semi-formed motions and make a motion what he said.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion that the town of Summerfield requests DOT to review speed limits and transitions in the interest of preserving our historic buildings on Summerfield Road and 150.
Very nicely done.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Flowers.
Second.
Second by Ms. McClellan. All in favor, please raise your hand.
You gonna vote for your motion?
Oh, yeah.
Call out that,
I'm still thinking about what I said.
I'm getting all excited. Okay.
Okay, the next item, 8C, the consolidated committee ordinance. Okay, the backdrop of this quickly is that we have differing establishing ordinances of most committees, but not all, that have been done over the years of Summerfield's history. Then we have a general rules and procedures ordinance that those establishing ordinances refer to. So whenever we talk about ordinance changes, we're always having to look at both documents. Not all committees have those establishing ordinances. And for some time, we thought internally it would be a big help to do some consolidation and tidying up of what we have. And so this draft ordinance is exactly that. And this deals with Finance Committee, Founders Day Committee, Public Safety Committee, Trails and Open Space Committee. And then we had another committee that was kind of hanging out there from early 2012, which was the Summerfield Road Special Area Plan Committee that we didn't formally make any action on. We were trying to do a similar thing in that we were trying to tidy up some of the loose ends of committees that were out there hanging, if you will. And so it might get a little confusing there on the agenda sheet. I think it's said about as clearly as we can do it in terms of what we're doing in that second, or what I'm proposing to do in that second paragraph, and the suggested motion there. But this takes a lot of pages and puts it down to a simplified, consolidated ordinance, which not only will be easier for us to deal with internally, it will also be easier to deal with from the committee's perspectives. They've got one document, and again, it just tidies up what we have and hopefully puts everything in one place more succinctly. So there are some changes besides just consolidating that I've drafted into this, and I'll just give you a couple examples off the top of my head before we get into it. We had committees that had voting that were comprised of memberships that were 8 committee members or 10 committee members, which is just begging for a tie vote. And so we proposed to alter the composition of those committees where we have odd numbers, which is more typical of committees. Another key thing that I'm sure we'll get to and discuss is an item about that limits your service on a committee to 2 committees at one time. Now, that's in addition to, that's completely separate from zoning board and board of adjustment. This ordinance has nothing to do with those 2. And it also is conservative in that regard, that if you're serving on multiple committees now, more than 2 committees now, nobody's saying that you have to get off of that committee. It's just you still serve the term out, and that commitment's honored from both directions. Again, I proposed this in this ordinance because I'm always trying to tie what we do back to the comprehensive plan and development ordinance. The comprehensive plan talks about in limited service government that part of the governance of the town comes down to advisory committees and a lot of citizen engagement by way of committees. And it talks about diversity, it talks about a wide variety of citizen participation, and I think that works to that end better than no limitations on that at all. And there are other things I'm sure you'll want to talk about, so I'll just open up the draft and we'll start talking about it.
Okay, discussion?
Well, I have a couple questions.
Okay.
One being about the committee member misses more than 25% of the regular meetings. And I was just wondering, when we have your attendance in front of us, if we can have your attendance in the future. That would be very helpful to us, when we're making a decision for reappointment.
Well, we have dealt with that when there's been an issue.
Okay.
So Valerie, would you say we've been consistent lately on if there's someone that's coming up for reappointment that we know is somewhere close to that threshold, we've been reporting that attendance, so you'll have that
Yes.
information.
Okay.
So,
I would like to see the attendance of every person that wants to be reappointed. And I think it should be up to the chair of that committee to keep track of that attendance. Not Valerie. Valerie, she's got enough. It says it in the minutes every month, but when you come to be reappointed, am I gonna go back 12 months in the minutes to see how
well,
many meetings you attended?
I didn't
think so.
propose any changes to that wording about that. That's from the existing general rules part, and just to be clear, that doesn't fall, let me make sure before I say that, but we're not relying on the town clerk to calculate all that necessarily. It's just, I mean, that comes from knowing, ideally that comes from the chair and the committee to us. And, but like I said, we rarely have an issue with that, but when we do, we know about it because I'm attending so many committee meetings and we understand. So, again, that wasn't a new part, but.
No, I was just curious, it made me think about that when we have your appointments, it would be nice to have that, like, they attend, 90% of the people they attend, you know what I'm saying? That would be good information, and since you say, if the committee members, the point of it is to lessen the effect on the town employees, I think it's a good point that the chair could, have that. Okay.
Do you have to write that in the ordinance, or can that just be understood?
I think we
Doesn't
can.
have to be in the ordinance. Okay.
And in the public safety meeting, because there was something about the emergency centers. Don't we have shelters that they were looking for another shelter drive? On the other side of town. So do the churches not, are they not the shelters that we utilize now?
We have two shelters at the churches, and what was brought up at just the last meeting, if I'm remembering right, Elaine, was I had brought up that we should probably be exploring other shelters just because our population's growing. Those are relatively close in location.
What are they?
And it's Summerfield Methodist, United Methodist, and then Center United Methodist. And the reason that came up was when we did some generator training out at one of the churches, and you realize how small an area that the churches actually have if we have a major natural disaster. You realize that, hey, there've got to be other facilities in town that could hold more people that we need to be exploring. So that's a charge of the Public Safety Committee.
Sure.
Just something that they're exploring. Is that fair, Wayne?
That's what we talked about last time. And to address something Elizabeth said there, these are Red Cross emergency shelters. They're responsible for calling them into action and running them when that time comes. And I think Guilford County Emergency Management actually is coordinating all that.
Okay, great.
Is there a way that we can inform citizens that there are such a thing as emergency shelters in town? Does everybody know that?
That's in our COOP plan that we'll be updating next, we have to update that every month, but that's designated in our continuity of operations plan. It talks about the emergency management and the Red Cross.
Citizens don't know that.
I was gonna say, it's on our website.
Yeah.
I can push it out on the
General
website.
public.
Yeah, we're really straying from
I'm sorry.
what we're.
Oh, okay.
Really, other one was just conduct part of the public safety inspection for the town property. Doesn't the lead do that? Public safety committee do that.
Tell me exactly where you're at.
Public safety committee, and what they do is to conduct part and building safety inspections for town property. I thought that the league did that.
Well, we have insurance risk assessment representative that does that, but in the past, the Public Safety Committee has had some expertise and has basically done a walkthrough of our park just to see what they see from a public safety perspective that needs addressing. That's really what that's referring to.
Okay, so that is all accurate though.
That's in addition to, that's not they're not doing that in place of our insurance.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make. Oh, I just want to make sure that was correct, everything in this paragraph, okay.
Thank you, Ms. McClellan. Other discussion?
On number 6, on page 2, I just wanted to make a comment. I don't know if this would be a place that this might be included, or even if we could consider it, but I think a person probably should only be able to chair one committee if they're on multiple committees or on 2 committees. I don't think they should be able to chair both of those committees. I don't know if that's ever come up, but you don't know.
We did have, when we were drafting this, an internal conversation about that, but I didn't write that into the draft. I felt like I was giving you enough to chew on and limiting the service to 2 committees specifically. But, I mean, that's certainly something you can feel free to.
It's like a conflict of interest to me to be like that, to chair of 2 different committees.
Well, the committee actually elects the officers though, so then you're taking the power of the committee, to me, the members away, because they're the ones
Well,
that
that
elect the
would be one of their
officers.
bylaws to let them know who they could and could not elect. I mean, that is at their discretion, but they still have to have guidelines as they do that.
Then it'll have to be in these ordinances, because this is for all the committees. And what number 6 says is that a person, a member may not serve, not chair, but may not serve on more than 2 committees simultaneously, and I have a real problem with that. It's not like we have people lined about the door to serve on our committees. So if someone's willing to serve on more than one committee, I think they should be allowed to. If and when the time comes when we have so many applicants on these committees that we can be picky, then maybe that would be correct. But right now, I don't think so. I think number 6 should be struck from this ordinance. And I think people should be allowed, maybe not chair, as Diane said, but I think they should certainly be allowed to serve on more than 2 committees. And right now, we have someone that serves on more than 2 committees. And we just reappointed him to the Board of Adjustment. And as I said, if he wasn't there the other night at that meeting, they wouldn't have had a meeting because
Well, the Board
there
of
weren't
Justice
enough
has
members.
nothing to do with this ordinance. This
Well,
is not
it
included
doesn't
in the
say
ordinance.
that in here, Diane.
Yeah, it
The
actually
manager
does.
just said,
It actually
it
does.
says finance and,
No, it says at the very beginning of the ordinance, there in italics on the middle of the first page, it says,
okay,
it
yes.
doesn't pertain to this. So theoretically, someone
Can be on
could
3
serve
committees.
on 2 committees plus either the zoning board or board of adjustment.
Yeah, that's different. Those are different.
I still don't think we should limit people to serving on just 2 committees.
It's something I take into account. If we have someone who's serving on a committee and we have 5 applications and they're all really qualified for something, and I see one of them's already serving on another committee, I do try to choose somebody new, because I feel like it is really important that the town does not discriminate, and you try to have it, bigger pool of people. But if you have no one applying for it and you're saying, no, we don't want you because you serve on 2 other committees, I mean, to me, that's, I don't know, it's like a slap in the face.
It's just telling you, sorry, you work hard but not hard enough. Don't bother us. I don't like it. I think it's exclusionary. I don't like it.
Well, to that end, what's the point then of having you can only serve 2, up to 3 2-year terms?
That's 6 years. One has nothing to do with this.
And it says, but it does say that if there is no one else that is,
Yeah, but I mean, if
there
we're
to
not
serve,
gonna,
you
not
can't.
gonna limit the number of committees, then why limit the number of years?
That doesn't make any sense, Mayor. One has
Well, the
nothing
mayor's
to
making
do
sense, I
with
agree with
the
Ms.
other.
Flowers, because just last year when we were talking about the finance committee and Ronnie Stafford's time was about to run up,
Yeah.
and I said, Ronnie Stafford has been on the finance committee since the beginning of time, brings unbelievable historical value, he knows everything that's ever happened. Why would we want to limit him with being able to serve X number of terms, when if he would, he could continue, and we would continue to have that expertise in the House?
and we got 2 qualified people to step into the finance committee.
That's a
after
great
we
point, Ms.
advertised.
Flowers, that's a great point, and so let's expound on that. When we had the last opportunity for people to add to the finance committee,
Mhm.
we had an unbelievable
We
number
had
of people
5
turn out.
applicants.
Exactly.
That's
So,
very unusual.
well, maybe not for where we're going forward.
We've got
Well, you know
more
what?
people moving in.
This 2 limit,
I'm
2
just saying.
committee limit was never in the ordinances before, and nobody had a problem.
Well,
So
I
that's the
didn't say
reason.
I didn't have a
I just
problem
want to
with
understand
it,
what your
change
reasoning
the
is.
voice.
My reasoning is
Because if
it's
we're not limiting
exclusionary.
people, then let's don't limit people. That's all I'm saying.
The time limit says that after 2 years, you can come back on the committee. Read the rest of it.
Well,
I read all.
and if there's nobody there that's applied, they can keep serving indefinitely.
Like
So it's not
Ronnie did.
exclusionary.
Like Ronnie did.
But if you have people apply, I mean, the same thing, I think if you have, if someone's serving on more than one committee and you have 4 people applying, then you try to find someone who's not serving and give them an opportunity to serve. But if you have no one serving and no one applying, why would you deny someone a chance to serve? It doesn't make sense. It's not
Because it's
logical.
like a monopoly, because you get the same people crossing over on all the committees. If you got,
Well, that just goes to show we have
why
nobody
not
coming.
just have one big committee then, all town committees?
You know, Diane, that doesn't make any sense. If we're getting applicants, then we don't have to limit people to how many, we can then limit people to how many committees they serve on. And that's the town council's job to
Well,
do
we are
that.
a growing community, and as you say, this last time we had applications for the finance committee, there was more.
We had 5
There
applications.
were newer residents coming in that could possibly be interested in these things, and so that might have set a precedent.
But it's the town council's job to make that decision, which we did with the finance committee.
Okay, and we're in a different time and place now, we're doing something
We're
different.
talking about last month, Diane.
Well, we did tonight.
Let me speak to just quickly to your concern, because I really thought about that before proposing that 2 limit, 2 committee limit. And I thought about it in relation back to engaging a wide variety of citizens. And I think it makes us lazy. If we don't have some limitations on the service, and we fall back on what we've always done because we haven't had enough people interested. I don't think we've really pushed when we've had vacancies always hard enough, and so I think it makes us complacent. And this actually puts more pressure on us in a way to recruit additional members, whether that's a little more advertising, to make citizens aware that those positions are available. But in my mind, the end result is we want more citizens engaged, and we don't want folks to feel like a limited few are overall running the committees. And that's exactly the impetus for why I proposed that.
So why did you choose 2? Why didn't you just choose 1?
Because I think sometimes people do have some real expertise and value in more than one committee, and it's a starting place. It's a starting place. Maybe that's overly restricted.
It's actually a 2+.
It's 2 plus the zoning board of BOA, which seems pretty generous to me. But again, that's a policy call, and that's for y'all to duke it out tonight.
Now, the easiest way to do it is just have people to apply for committees, and then the decision is the town councils whether they should serve on those committees or not.
Other discussion?
Yeah, I have more.
Okay.
If we adopt these ordinances tonight, what are we going to do with the history committee?
It says in here they have to have 7 to 9 residents, and they only have 6 voting members. So does that mean that they can't meet until they get another member?
It means we recruit. When I was looking at the committee composition, the question there is not what do we have and what interests do we have from citizens. It's, well, what ideally do we feel like makes up a good committee for that group? And, you know, for instance, and they're not all equal in terms of what that, in my mind, what that number should be, because if you think about Founders Day needs to engage a lot of committee members. There's the parade, there's a lot to that. With other committees that are more focused, you know, that number can be smaller, but, you know, do we want to limit the historical committee to a smaller membership just because historically we haven't had as much interest? This
You didn't
seems,
answer my question. It now only has 6 members. The new ordinance calls for 7. It has 6 voting members.
If it doesn't have sufficient membership,
Then what happens?
then it can't take action. They can meet, but it can't take action.
How do you feel about that?
right, but they still have a quorum. I mean, if you still have.
We ask people all the time to come.
I know.
And you're-
Oh, if they still have a quorum,
If you still have a quorum, if you have 6 members there.
Okay, they can still operate.
How can they, it says here they have to have 7 members.
It's going to have a vacancy. It's no different than a vacancy in really anything.
If
As long as
this
they have a quorum, Scott's right.
Okay, as long as they can receive, do work.
Is the quorum of 7 or a quorum of 9?
It's a set.
It's the minimal number. If you have a range of X to X members, it's just like if you have a trail.
We need to get on it.
Okay. I just have one more thing that I think is taken out, and I think it should be in here. And it's in the old ordinance on page 6, or the current ordinance on page 6. The committee shall prepare an annual report in January detailing their accomplishments in meeting their goals and objectives during the preceding year. I don't know that we've ever had committees present that to the council, and I think it's a good idea.
I think that was done sporadically, and from what I gathered when I came as the manager, it was burdensome to volunteer committee members to do that. And, you know, you can certainly add that in, but
This is the current ordinance. An annual report in January, why is that burdensome? I think the council would like to know what those committees have been doing.
when I say burdensome, it was a very long list of requests from the committee.
Page 6.
Here it is, right here.
The budget request kind of took the place of that to some extent. That kind of was the report when the committees came and presented during the budget time as
Yes,
to.
they don't do that.
Are they not doing that anymore?
Did they come this year and present their?
I think they have paper presentations.
Each committee presents a budget request. They say exactly what we want. And they turn that in, and that is processed, and that is part of the budget process conversation with the finance committee, with you. Yeah, they turn that in.
But do they tell us, it's in the ordinance, I don't know why you just can't put it in the ordinance.
So you want to do that in
An annual report in January detailing their accomplishments.
But I think that, excuse me, but I thought that that's what we put in the budget request was kind of something like an annual report. Don't they have to write down what they did before and what they plan to do with the money? Is that what we used when you originally started that, or was that?
It was a long request of committees that wasn't getting done consistently, and when I talked to committees, it was burdensome. It was, man, do we have to turn all of this in? And
Well, yeah, but how money,
And back to your charge back at our retreat of simplifying ordinances and policies, I thought this was in keeping with it, but you can certainly add it back if you want to.
I don't know, I don't think that would have to be a very lengthy document. I would not be looking for that. I would think, for trails and open space, it would be, our goal for this year was to, get an AMY design plan. Done, check, poof.
Well,
It's
can I
not,
ask
it doesn't have to be a 5-page report.
how did we end up saying do this report in January when our fiscal year is from?
I don't know, it's in the ordinance, Diane.
Probably because we start budget then, is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this was tied to budget, and since we start budget during that time, and they're kind of looking, that's what I'm thinking. So if they said, hey, this year our big goal is to do the AMY design plan, and, so, okay, our annual report states, our goal was to design the AMY to get a contract signed. We accomplished our goal, we looked at open space, we accomplished that goal. Now looking at budgeting, we want to accomplish the next goal, we want to budget X amount of money for open space. I'm just using
That's
this as an
expecting
example.
them to do something in 6 months that we don't even do.
We did it at the retreat, actually. We spent an entire day at the Proximity Hotel kind of outlining our whole, what we had accomplished and what we wanted to accomplish.
But that's what, we would be asking, that's what we're asking them to do when they present their requested budget, aren't we?
It's not in the ordinance. It's not in the new ordinance.
It's on.
But it's in the existing ordinance, so why can't you just put it in the new ordinance?
I'm just wondering about the
I
dates.
was responding to, sorry, the manager had a sidebar about
Oh,
this section of this. and
Jay, do you think that would be burdensome? I'm just curious, you're a chair.
Other than for the budget, I can see giving our goals for the budget. We keep the council updated monthly.
We
what's
get an
going
update
on in our meetings, and so, to me, it's a duplication. We've already told them.
Okay.
I'm on the safety committee, and it wasn't burdensome for us to come up with the amount of money that we wanted budgeted and why, and what we wanted to do with it.
Well, that part's not.
Yeah, but did you also come up with what you accomplished the year before?
Yeah, this is not about that.
Well, and let me speak to that just quickly. Before you came on to the Public Safety Committee, we had a very long form that each committee had to fill out at budget time that had a lot of detail. Valerie, do you remember the form?
Yes.
And that was what I was referring to, not higher level goals and that type of thing.
And the reason I'm thinking is because I felt it was very helpful for us as a council, honestly, to kind of look back and say, what have we done this year? Let's write it down, and we started visualizing and see it written, and then what do we really want to accomplish the next year? And it just helped us. I felt like it was very helpful. But I don't want it to be burdensome, and I don't want you to do a form and make it lengthy. I think it should be simple, just here's our goals, we accomplished this one or this one, this we need to get to. Here's our budget. I think it might even help with the budgeting items too, as you look to your future goals for the year. I don't know. I'm not against it or for it. I'm just throwing information. We're just trying to get that to people.
Okay, what do you say now, Jay?
That's completely up to you. And I have one request to change from my own drafted ordinance. And this will be quick if you're agreeable to it. And I would it's on page 4, and I would just ask that you would consider it as part of whatever motion you come up with. On number 3 of the historical committee, that first sentence about create and maintain an inventory of properties of historical significance. I would like to request just that we delete that one sentence all the way through photographs, just written descriptions of photographs, and
Okay, that's a long sentence.
It's the whole
It's the whole paragraph.
well, no, it's the first 2.5. It's the
There's
first.
no period.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, in this period.
So just start at research places? Is that what you're saying, delete the?
I'm saying just avoid as far as the duty. Let's just not do an inventory of
I don't
properties.
see the period.
Yeah, I can't find.
I can't find the period, Scott. I'm sorry. I see a period after et cetera, but then through is not
It's okay.
capitalized.
I think we can stop after photographs?
That's what I meant, photographs, semicolons.
Okay,
So
photo-
I
yeah.
apologize.
Okay.
Yeah, but I couldn't find that period.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And research would be capitalized, okay? So that would be the beginning.
So where we are excluding that
So that is my only request.
Wouldn't you need an inventory for insurance purposes?
We already have that covered. We don't need that.
Okay, so it starts at research places, it starts
And know where you're at for a motion?
Is there any further discussion? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I think we should give this back to the manager and let him do some changes and give it back to us when
Okay, what changes would we like to ask him to make?
okay, I would like him to insert item G from the existing ordinance. And he would,
Wait a minute.
we
How
have,
do we know everybody wants him to do that?
you asked me and I'm answering.
I asked the entire committee,
Council.
council.
And I would promise to make your changes if you want to make all that as part of the motion. I will follow.
There's no way,
And item,
otherwise there's no way to know.
item 3 that we just deleted,
Item 3.
item 3 on page 4.
Oh, the one you just
deleted.
he just
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
excuse me, Ms. Flowers, Mr. Hill, can we dissect this in small motions and deal with them one at a time?
I would recommend at this point that you see if you can do that, or you can all, if you're not gonna vote on it tonight, you can send your suggestions to the manager for changes. And let him coalesce them and get
Well,
back
then,
to November.
then he could get 5 different translations. I mean, we're giving him no clear direction and sending him away and saying, hey, redo this.
Well, then you can make a motion on each one. You can certainly do this.
I think we either have to deal with it or not deal with it, or accept it as is.
Item G, does anybody else feel opposed to it? Is anybody opposed?
You want it
I'm
verbatim
actually-
or just?
That was the annual report, it's a one sentence, the committee shall prepare an annual report. Maybe we can include the word simple annual report, therefore not stressing our committee members, detailing their accomplishments.
Yeah.
Maybe we could just
I
ask the
I would just-
manager if he could see about adding something in there that would address our issue.
I think just adding that and including the word simple
Simple.
would be
No stress.
acceptable.
Okay.
Because that way, I mean, we hear from each of these committees monthly,
Yeah.
but if we could just kind of remind them in December, if you could come in and try to recap the last year simply, just the high spots,
Yep.
then it's not cumbersome to committee members. And it does, I think there's a value to that, because then people hear really what was accomplished for last year. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be written, a simple, non-written report, maybe.
It says prepare an annual report.
But I think it's something you could write at your meeting.
We
you
could
know what I'm
ask,
saying?
we could
I
ask
think
them to
you
do
could
a
say-
verbal,
I'm gonna have a good report, because I like to keep,
Because we have to.
you know me, I like to keep all my notes and
I
stuff.
understand. I'm trying to keep it simple.
But I think it can be something that you could read.
It could be a simple report.
It's very simple.
Right, they could do that, they could just prepare it if
I
there
think
is.
A
Leave it
simple-
in there, maybe.
A simple written report, would someone like to make that in the, are we in agreement on that? If we're not, we'll make the motion. Okay, we're all in agreement on that. Mr. Whitaker, if you would put that in there and say a simple written report done annually in January.
Could it be included in the minutes?
Yeah, I think it could be included in the minutes. Or you
Yeah,
could
that's great
just,
input.
We can put an annual report in the minutes.
right, you could
I'm
recap.
Okay.
assuming it's gonna be 1 or 2 sentences.
Yeah, I think it can be.
Okay, Ms. Flowers, what's your other, what's your next one?
The committee members may not serve on more than 2 committees.
committees, I still have a problem with that. I would like that whole thing taken out of there. It's not in the existing ordinance.
Mr. Whitaker, if we vote tonight to approve that as it is, I know they get to serve out whatever they have left on their term, but let's say they didn't, and we did that tonight, would anybody be cut off of the committee?
Yep.
What committee? Who?
Mr. Rendell?
You mean after,
If
after
they
those
voted on it
committees?
tonight and they were not allowed to serve out their term, would it change the makeup of any of our committees permanently?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think Nancy has service on the zoning.
That doesn't count, the zoning.
I know the zoning board,
Yeah,
but what are
zoning board
the other
doesn't count.
ones? Trails and.
Mr. Wendell, can you
Foundry
serve on
Street.
more committees than anybody I know? How many committees are you on, and could you name them for us?
Well, I know what I want to say, but I'll just say, I'm on finance, I'm on public safety, I'm on the board of adjustment as an alternate.
Founders Day.
Founders Day, I help out. I think there might be one more. Maybe not. But I'm on most of them. And I serve to serve the people. You asked me a question, I'm trying to get my mouth shut, you shouldn't have asked me.
No, I want to hear your answer.
Obviously, this has been termed in a way. I have no agenda in the committees. I serve according to what the rules are. And for this to be termed like this now is a big mistake. I believe just because a person is on a committee, unless they do some wrongdoing, they should be removed. Until that happens, we should let the process be, only because there's such a shortage of volunteers. And for this to come up now, I was kind of shocked sitting over there. Took me off guard, because I personally enjoy serving. And if there's a problem with that, I'd ask that you just get me off all the committees.
That's great input. Thank you very much.
And
we
I agree on
appreciate,
term limits.
and we appreciate all your service.
I agree, I disagree with term limits. If we're gonna, if committee members are gonna, if I'm gonna serve for the rest of my life on the Trails Committee, and granted my life is probably not gonna be real long anyway, but, I'm gonna get run over. I think it's a real slap in the face to say to somebody at the end of 6 years of serving on a committee, if you really love the committee, we're sorry, but somebody else new wants your seat.
Well, how do we get new members on committees? How do we get new members on committees? If everybody decides they want to serve till their toes up, then that means we don't get any new members on committees.
But that's not even for you, though. The only thing before you is the issue.
It isn't before us.
The only issue.
That's not a change.
Yeah, the only issue before you is, do you want to include the limitation to 2 committees or not?
Yeah, I don't like that one. I think it's exclusionary as well. So
Well, my question was answered.
Does anybody else
My
think?
question was answered when we would have to remove Mr. Wendelken if they were not allowed to serve out their term, because we appreciate him and what he does. So I have to say I'm against it as well.
Well, I appreciate you saying why you put it in there and that we were looking for more people. And perhaps just the fact that we discussed that, if that's publicized a little bit and maybe people will talk about it, maybe more people will think that they might want to serve on a different committee, because it is a burden for people to have a committee that's not full and they're trying to work hard. We want more people on the committees, and we want more of the people in the community to be involved. But we really don't want to exclude anybody who wants to serve. So I think, although sometimes it's like sausage, it's good to talk about it and hear why it was put in there and what.
Do you know why we had 5 applicants for finance? Because we advertised it in the newspaper, and that's something we typically don't do for openings on committees.
Ms. Lawson, do you have anything?
I still think it's good issues.
good to just be able to chair one committee.
So could you reword that to where you can't chair more than one committee, but you're not limited to the two committees? Would that work?
Well, you just take it out.
You say
If that's valid, you just remove that and put in there that you would be only able to chair one committee. Does that go with you?
That's what I meant.
And remove the limiting to 2 committees?
Yep.
Is that what you're saying, Tina?
Do we have consensus on that, or do we need a motion and vote on it? Okay, we have a consensus on that, so,
Somebody restate that for me.
okay, what we would like you to do is to remove number 6 and to simply state that no member may serve as chairman of more than one committee. For number 6. Okay,
Okay.
having addressed that, would anyone like to address number 2?
Number 2?
Yep. Number 2 is the one that talks about term limits.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with term limits. Because if members stay on the committees indefinitely, then there is no room
If
for new
members can't
committee
stay on,
members.
if we keep the reappointment process, it's up to us to decide if they continue or not. Same responsibility we had in deciding who goes on what committee, we have the same responsibility to review and whether to reappoint them or to ask for other applicants.
If you keep reappointing the same person on a committee indefinitely, then there's no room for new members, which is what we all say we want. I don't think 6 years on a committee is a bad thing.
Okay?
And after 2 years, they can come back on the committee if they want to.
But
Anyone?
but let me ask a quick question. That does not mean, if there's no one that's applied for that position, they don't have to go off. Is that not correct?
Yeah, that's what happened to Ronnie, he stayed on.
So that's, to me, that's not exclusionary really, because it's only if you have multiple people applying. But
Okay.
if you don't, they can stay on.
Ronnie Stafford stayed on until the end of the fiscal year, until we got new applicants.
Any other discussion? Everybody okay with that scene?
Yep.
We have consensus? Okay, what was the other thing that we talked about that we needed to address? That's it? That's all?
Everything?
So, Bill, do we make a motion to approve this based on these amendments? Or do we have to state the amendment?
No, you can, since you have consensus, you can make a motion to approve with those changes.
With the amendment, with those,
Yes.
Yep. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consolidated committee ordinance with,
As
as amended.
motion by Ms. McClellan,
Second.
second by Ms. Flowers. All in favor, please raise your hand.
I just, for discussion, I just want to be clear.
Okay,
I
discussion.
got it. Okay, so,
We'll raise our
from,
hand. Oh,
no, I'm just asking, and then y'all can vote, I just want to be clear on it. So, from the general ordinance, the old general rules and procedures, you want to add in the part about the annual reports and.
Make it simple.
Make it simple.
In a simple written report.
And
during the minutes.
okay, the other change is to remove, in the new ordinance, on
Remove
page
number
2, remove number 6,
Yeah.
but to say that a member may not chair more than one committee at once. Okay? And then the other change, I think y'all are in agreement with moving that one partial sentence in the historical
Yes.
committee.
The one that you.
Okay, so that's the 3 changes.
Okay.
And y'all, okay. Good.
Okay, so, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. Okay. Reports, updates, or comments?
Why don't you want to run for town council?
I went to Stokesdale's, here's my report. I went to the Stokesdale Town Council meeting last week, which was a trails presentation by a representative from the Sea Trail. It was wonderful. What a great meeting, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
there were over 50 people there. Everybody in the audience had an opportunity to get up and say whether they were for the trails or against the trails and why. Everybody was very considerate of everyone else. I liked the whole tone of the meeting. They didn't have a timer. People just talked, and most people didn't take up any more than, yes, it's 3 minutes?
Their public comments is 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
But that wasn't public comments.
What was
They
it?
kind of went offline with that. That wasn't during their public comments period.
No, it was specifically for the trails since
Yeah.
Ms. Dixon made the presentation, which is wonderful, and I think we should have her come here to Summerfield and make the same presentation. It was very interesting to me. Anyhow, I'm sorry that no one from the Trails Committee was there. You missed a good opportunity. And I think, I can't say whether Stokesdale wants trails or not, but they definitely don't want property taxes.
Okay,
That's all I
I'm
have to
going
say.
to make my report comments during the council and mayor portion. Before we get any.
And I just have,
I'm sorry.
that's all right. I just have one quick thing that I mentioned earlier for our Parks and Rec seasonal park attendant part-time position. We've hired a fine local resident by the name of Richard, because of our Rich, and I won't pronounce his name, Schlobaum. And he has been working for us for a couple of weeks and training, and we're excited to have him, and he was a big asset this last weekend, and that's all I have.
Okay. This is from the mayor and council, item 9A, unsealing of the closed session minutes.
Yes, I understood from Jim Secor that y'all wanted some time to review the minutes you had at that time. If everybody's okay with our recommendations, I gave a motion to Ms. Flowers.
Yeah, I have the minutes with me, Julie.
Yeah, I would need them back if you all have them. If we need to discuss anything, it would be best to do that in closed session. So I guess it's up to you.
So if there's no discussion, we can have a motion.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Flowers, would you like to make a
I
motion?
make a motion to release closed session minutes, some in full and some with redactions required by law as recommended by the town attorney.
Motion by Ms. Flowers. We have a second. Second by Ms. Barnes. All in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. Item 9B, which is the Christmas tree lighting, the sponsorship of Summerfield Merchants Association. I guess I'll take that one. I've been really excited that Summerfield, as far back as April, started having meetings with the Summerfield Merchants Association. We were a small group through August, and in August we had kind of a kickoff and invited everybody we could get an invitation out to. Northwest Observer been kind enough to put some ads in for us and communicate about the event. And our meeting in August, we had over 50 business owners that either live in Summerfield and own a business or have a business that's in Summerfield. So it's really an exciting time, and the group is coming together, and at our last meeting, decided that we would like a project or something to do. I mentioned the Christmas tree lighting, and everybody was on board with that. We voted to give some money, have some money for the event for the town, and asked if we could co-sponsor the event. So this is really a first step in starting to get people from the outside back involved in things like Christmas tree lighting, Founder's Day. I think it's a great first step. They want to take it maybe to the next level with regard to the food and doing the food drive. There's something called Backpack Buddies that maybe a lot of you are familiar with, that you either take food to either Northern High School or Northwest High School. They take the food up, they take it back to a central place, and they bag it up, and then they send it to all the schools in our area. send them home with kids on Friday, so they'll have food to eat over the weekend, and they bring the backpack back on Mondays, and it's filled up again. So it's a real exciting program and opportunity for these businesses to give back. So we want to have boxes made to put at the place of business for the people who are Summerfield merchants, so we can be taking up food there, but then also the night of the event, people will have an opportunity to bring food there. All the food goes to Backpack Buddies, which is something that's very local and supports kids who need nutritious food. So, let's see if there's anything else I haven't told you. So I've had some conversations with Mr. Whitaker about how that interaction might be, and feel like we got that worked out to something that's acceptable to you. Is that true?
It is, when we talk about what we could really use help with, aside from that help on the food drive internally, was the entertainment portion, is kind of heading up that segment of the tree lighting. And I don't know if that's something council would like to send back by word of the mayor to the Merchants Association or not. You may want to control and dictate that portion of it, but that's one area that we wouldn't mind some help with.
So,
Or you could just make a motion that we work together and coordinate what you want us to do, because that way it's a lot simpler, I think, to make a motion.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay?
Do you have to be a member of the Merchants Association to say I have a store in Summerfield, but I don't belong to the Merchants Association? Can I still participate in that Backpack Buddy thing?
Oh, absolutely. That's a program that has nothing to do with
Okay, well,
Summerfield merchants.
well, that's what you're talking about. Okay, so how does this co-sponsorship work? Will the Merchants Association put up X amount of dollars for the Christmas tree lighting?
Yes, we voted to use $500.
$500. Okay, so can we deduct 500 from the 3,800 that we budgeted or no?
Budgeted. I mean, it depends. We've got that in the budget, but if we have that 500, we can certainly try to spend 500 less.
Okay. Okay. How many members do you have then?
I don't know the exact number, but I know at our last meeting, there were 30 or more people there. Last Tuesday.
Is it?
It's the first Tuesday of every month at Polo Farms Clubhouse. Yep, until Dr. Brown gets his office open, and then that will be the new meeting place.
For what time?
6:30.
Okay, so do people have to pay dues to belong to this Merchants Association?
Yes.
How much?
Say again?
How much?
How much?
It's $200 a year.
Have you considered the businesses putting banners at the athletic field?
No. Those two are not related at this point.
What does that mean?
Those two are not related at this point. Being a Summerfield merchant is not tied to putting banners up.
Oh, well, I thought maybe they could sell banners and reduce the amount it costs us to maintain the ballpark. Okay, that's very interesting, and I'm glad that they're going to participate in the Christmas tree lighting. Now, I went to the Stokesdale Town Council meeting.
Well, wait a minute, we need a
Just
motion
kidding.
and the
I'm
vote is
just
still,
kidding.
yeah, we're still discussing the Christmas tree lighting.
Okay, what do we need a
I
motion?
think so, yeah.
Why?
I guess we don't just take like maybe all association. You gotta vote on it.
I think we take the money, but I don't think we can say they're gonna help us with that vote. No, that's what I'm thinking.
So we need a
I
motion
mean, if
to
you made a
allow.
motion, I think it would just be that
You accept
you accept that participation
Okay.
and not necessarily even tie it to any money. I mean, we've got a budgeted event and
Right.
I don't understand
Do we need a
what
You don't need,
Okay.
you
We
don't.
don't need
Okay, then, if we have a consensus, do we have a consensus?
Yeah.
Then we forge on. Reports, updates, or comments? Is there anyone on the council that attended the Stokesdale County?
Landing West.
I too attended that meeting, and it was very informative, and I liked some of the things they did, some of the things they did in their meeting. Made me go, I'm really glad I'm from Summerfield. And, yeah, and probably that's all I can say is that I'm really glad to be from Summerfield. So I wish them the very best in whatever they decide to do.
I was gonna say that after that meeting that I would love to move to Stokesdale, but I figured the applause, if I said it in here, the applause would be deafening.
I'm sure that will not be true. Any other reports, updates, or comments?
I have something for, just the MPO meeting, the project for submission to the NCDOT for prioritization 4, have been submitted. And so we will probably have a review time that we're trying to set up for a date, but the next MPO meeting will be November 10th. If, hopefully those projects will be submitted and ready to be voted on, they need to be in by November 20th. So I just wanted to report on that. And did we project on this? And I just wanted to make a comment. Somebody was talking, I think, earlier during the comments from the floor about how we used to have more fun, and you know, it was a lot of fun when we first started, and we didn't have as much stuff going on. And I can recall when we first talked about running for town council, a little saying just ran through my mind as we were saying that this is the most fun you can have for $5. So we still have that fee for filing to run, and I appreciate all the people that have filed to run, and thankful that there's not any negativism and nastiness. You know, I think it's wonderful that everybody is trying to work forward and do something for the good of our community.
And I did not take it personal that you said my meetings weren't fun. Okay, someone like to make a motion that we I'm sorry, yeah.
Last month, Dina announced the Me and King Cook thing. I just wonder how that went.
It was great, and John O'Day is left, but he could, and it was a huge success. I think I got an email report that they had not accumulated it, but their goal was to try to raise funds, and they may have gotten close to $100,000. So I don't have the actual amount.
Can you tell us, for the ones who might not know what that?
For the Women's Resource Center, it was the 20th anniversary. They started out with volunteers who did something, and they had attorneys that did pro bono work, and they had information. They tried to get classes for women so that they could learn how to apply for a job and all kinds of different things. It is actually now part of the North Carolina Council for Women. That is a statewide board that I also survey, that we do that in conjunction with the Domestic Violence Commission. So there's lots of different aspects to it. It's a wonderful resource for the people in Guilford County. You ought to go down and look at it. It's near the corner of Yanceyville and Summit is where it is now, and they used to be in that little house, Island House, and I think they finally burned, but they raised enough money over the years where they built this wonderful building that they have, and you can go in and they actually have some computers, and they have resources and different things. They have all kinds of meeting space and different things, and do a lot of wonderful things. And when they started having Men Can Cook, it was one of their fundraisers that they did every would get together and bring their chef's talents, or, you know, some of them, I think, just put cookies on the tray. But, you know, whatever they did, you're supposed to bring now food for like to feed 400 people. And they have silent auctions that go during the event, and they have 3 different silent auctions, and they have a couple of live auctions. And they actually sold raffle tickets. They were strong-arming you there. It's only $20. It's our 20th anniversary, you know, but it was all fun. But it was a lot of fun to see that, and I appreciate anybody that could come or try to come next time. That's usually around the first part of October.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn to the closed session?
Recess.
Recess.
I'll make a motion to recess the closed session to instruct the public body staff for negotiating agents concerning the price or other material terms concerning real property as provided under NCGS 143-318.11.
Motion by Mr. McClellan, second by Mrs. Barnes. All in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. Thank all of you for coming tonight. We really appreciate you being here. Okay.
Make a motion to return to open session.
Motion by Ms. Barnes, second by Mr. McClellan. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. Any discussion or any other motions? Motion by Ms. Barnes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McClellan. All in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous.